Hey you, so on this video how I would stack on a low budget, I'm going to be breaking down how I would personally stack if I was on a set low budget, and I'll break down that low budget in a moment. Now this video came about as an individual had contacted me and asked the best way to purchase on a low budget, but went on to ask exactly how I would go about doing that. So I'll break into that in a moment. Just to remind everybody, you can catch me on other platforms as I've mentioned in the past. Those platforms are Steemit, the Silver Forum, and on Instagram. So if you click on the description, you can come and join me on those other platforms. So breaking into this, as I mentioned, I was contacted. There was an individual, a young guy, I believe he's in Europe, and he's stacking on a real low budget. So I wanted to know the best way to go about it, and then asked what exactly I would do. So it's something I haven't covered before. So I'll break in as to the steps I would personally take if I was stacking on a low budget. Now, when I say a low budget, you can see I've got some coins in the background here. We're going to be looking at 6 to 10 coins a month when we're looking at silver, and we'll break down anything else from there in a moment. I mean, anything less than, I don't know, 5 coins or less, I would put out there now and say if you're in a position, you're going to want to maybe go in store, whether that be your LCS or anything of the likes, as it could work out more cost effective once you take shipping into account. And once again, if you're in the UK, I didn't quite catch where you was from, another tip would be you definitely want to be purchasing from Europe to avoid the high VAT prices. So those are just two things I wanted to put out there. I'm going to be focusing mainly on coins, as it's what I would exactly do if I was on a budget, and that budget was, say, 6 coins a month. I could afford 6 silver coins a month. I'm going to be focusing on coins, as I've mentioned before. Wherever you are in the world, you can apply these tactics I'm going to be putting out, these tips I'm going to be putting out for bars, pool bars, or whatever, but it's on a budget. So I've specifically catered this towards what I would pick if my only options were the funds to acquire 6 coins a month. So breaking straight into, so I'll go into a few points. So the first thing I would say is, if I was on a budget and that was 6 coins a month, the first thing I would do is keep the variety low. So on a budget, it's not going to be diversify your stack. And now I was also contacted by another young individual recently on Instagram, and shout out to you. This individual wanted to liquidate his coins that he had purchased and had contacted me just to see if I was interested or see what kind of price he can get. Now, he had a very small stack. I believe he's a young guy in his early teens, and the problem that I mentioned to him that he also soon went on to find out was that his stack, I believe he had 10 or 12 coins, was very diverse in that it was a very big mix of a lot of coins. Now, when he sent me the images of the coins he had, there was only one I was really interested in. I believe he had one Queen's Beast, and we didn't even get as far as negotiating a price on that. Now, what he had other than that was, we had a load of Royal Canadian Mint coins, which is never going to help. I believe he's in the UK, and he just had one of each. I don't know if it's the Panther, the Eagle, Birds of Prey, just a whole load of different coins on such a small base. So when I say keep variety low, what I'm going to be aiming at and focusing at here is purchasing from a dealer and selling back to a dealer. That's one thing I would do if I was on a low budget. It's hassle free. I know others have mentioned peer-to-peer in other videos I've done, but the easiest, hassle-free, no time wasters, no having to put yourself out there, is always going to be a dealer to dealer. So with that in mind, as I told the individual, realistically, a lot of his coins went on to really hurt his stack, in that it would have been a lot easier if he just had one decent coin, whereas if I would have been interested, I could have given him one price and then purchased, say, all 12 of his one coin, especially beyond a low budget. So I'm going to leave it as a low budget, as anything under, or a small stack building up towards goals of 50 ounces to 100 ounces. So we never did do no trade. I gave him the best advice I could give him, but it's also advice I'd take upon myself if I was going to be purchasing on a very tight budget, and I'd keep it strictly to one coin. And now, when I mention that one coin, I am going to put out there the coin I think is the absolute best currently at time of releasing this video. Now, it's not going to be generic. I've already done the safest form of stacking. It's not going to be any other form of a bullion coin, as I've done the best bullion coin to buy. It's going to be somewhat of an in-betweener, not generic, not medium, and not high premium. And that coin is the Perth Mint Kangaroo coin. I think that coin currently is the best all-rounder. When it comes to it being recognized, it's got as much recognition as the Eagle, the American Silver Eagle, and it's up there with the Silver Britannia, and it's a relatively new coin. But I like what it's doing in Europe alone, in that it's a very good coin you can get for a fantastic price. I've seen it worldwide doing the same things. It's coming from a very strong mint, i.e. the Perth Mint, and it's going from strength to strength, really. I think right now it's pound for pound one of the best coins, and especially if you ain't taking capital gains tax into account, and if you're on a very low budget, that's something you definitely won't need to worry about. So whereas I could have said pick up a Britannia if you're in UK, pick up an Eagle if you're in Americas, if you're on a budget, I'm not going to go the generic route. As come sell back time to a dealer, you can get a Umina R depending on what it is. I reckon with the Kangaroo, as it's going from strength to strength and being recognised by a lot more dealers, especially that's coming from the Perth Mint, it is the perfect coin. To give an example of a situation, take for instance the young individual that contacted me. I believe he paid upwards of pound-wise. You could have paid anywhere from £17, £16. Come time to sell, it would have been a spot purchase. He would have been looking at somewhere around £12 at the time. The coin looked somewhat heavily milk spotted. So, but with the Perth Mint Kangaroo coin, you're looking at a pickup price at releasing this video today. You're looking at £14.77 from a dealer. Now that's around $19.25, and the same dealers advertise and they will purchase the coin back off of you in pound sterling at £14.30. So buying the coin at £14.77 off of the dealer, then being able to sell it back to the dealer for £14.30. In dollars, you're buying it at £19.25 and selling it back to the dealer at £18.63. This is why I think it's a fantastic coin if you're on a low budget. So if I was going to be aiming, I'd want to keep the variety low, and if I was going to be picking a coin right now, I think that's one of the strongest coins to pick. It's an in-betweener, something you don't need to worry about. It's not generic, it's not medium, it's not high premium. It's the sweet spot if you ask me. So that's the coin I would pick, and that would be my first tip. Keep variety to an absolute minimum. I'll say this a few times, it's a luxury you want to start delving into once you've got a lot more ounces or you reached a few more goals. So that's going to be the first little tip and thing I would do if I was stacking on a budget. Now the next little tidbit would be somewhat controversial for many, but if I was on a budget and picking up 6 ounces of silver a month, I would not look into picking up any type of coin capsules. If the coin didn't come in a capsule like we're looking at here, I wouldn't go on to pick them up, even if it was just a pound or anything of the likes. When you're talking about bullion coins like these, for instance, I have all of mine in a tube. If you don't have a tube, you can get the dealer to send one out to you, or you can purchase one. If you're going to purchase anything, you're going to want to put all your coins in there. If they're not full at the time they come, you can get some tissue and stuff it up. A lot of people, and I know it's personal preference here, like to handle it, give it the newborn baby treatment, but in the end of the day, I can promise you, dealers do not do the same, and you never know what's happened to your coin before you got it. Not saying they're treated bad. If you've got coins raw, you can use them in gloves. I would normally hold these barehanded, but if you're going to handle them, you can handle them around the room, no problem. They're going to get any type of dinks, dents, or spots on them. The dealer, unless it's a Royal Canadian Mint type of tragic error, the dealer will look beyond this and still give you the same price. So when you're putting capsules on them, something I wouldn't do if I was on a budget, you're really not doing yourself no justice. You're just wasting funds on the secondary market, mind you. If you was ever to go on and sell on eBay, it can play a role, but it's just a cost that I wouldn't even bother looking into. Even currently, the majority of my stuff's in the coin tubes, and that's that, especially when we're talking bullion stuff like this. Anything high premium normally comes in a capsule, so when you're buying capsules, it's just a fee going down the drain, I personally believe. But each his own, somewhat controversial, but that's another tip or thing I wouldn't bother doing at all if I was stacking on a budget. Now, another thing or tip I wouldn't do is I would not look at no high premium or collector coins whatsoever if I was on a budget. If you're going to do that, I would say set yourself a goal, say 50 ounces, and then treat yourself to a lunar coin or a so and so coin, but you want to build your foundation and focus mainly on that. Going back to the individual who contacted me, he did have an opportunistic coin within the batch also. So on a budget, picking up a set amount is something I definitely want to steer clear of and have no interest in whatsoever, and that's going to be proof or collector coins. Easier said than done for some, but you got to have some type of discipline, especially when you're on a budget. So the next little tip I would say is aim to get 1 month, I don't know, 6 silver coins, and then another month you want to aim to get some gold in there. Don't limit yourself to just one specific metal. The current rage at the moment, you're seeing a lot of individuals who are either one time very strong towards silver, now only gold, or investing in a lot more gold. It's the thing to do. I've always purchased gold. I've always said it's not best to have all your eggs in one basket. Now, if you're on a budget, once again, you're looking at a coin like this, you're going to want to be looking at a 1/20th ounce, because yes, when you go smaller, you pay in more premiums, but once again, you're on a budget. You don't want to turn yourself into a personal financial advisor when you're stacking now. So looking at 1/20th ounce gold coins, 1 month you're getting 6, 10 ounces of silver. Another month you want to be getting gold. So alternate. You definitely want to be picking up the both of them at the same time. With the gold, current lunars are always going to be your best bet. You've got Maples, and I believe Philharmonics have recently started doing 1/25th ounce. These are coins I would definitely be going for if I was on a budget, and it's a plan I'll definitely be doing as well, looking into the both of them. I wouldn't exclude one over the other. I've gone for the bottom, the barest, as I've said, 6 to 10 ounces, and I would say nothing smaller really than a 1/20th ounce. So if your budget ain't gonna allow it, even though you don't want to, you may want to save up for a little while before you go in and do that. And so another little tip, I can quickly close this up. This one could be somewhat controversial as well, is I wouldn't bother with junk silver personally. Junk silver, fractional silver. Silver's very cheap at the moment, so you don't really need to be going in and getting any type of junk silver. I know you got 90%, 50%, but if you can pick up a whole ounce, especially with the Perth kangaroo coin that I mentioned, I mean, you're looking at 5 nines right there, so you're getting all you need right there. Fractional silver, in my personal opinion, as I've mentioned before, is part of the safest way to stack, and but when you're going back to a dealer, you're going to want a recognizable coin. A coin, there's going to be no calculators out. It's a set price. It's a strong price worldwide. And it's definitely going to be one of these type of coins. So it's something that I wouldn't be interested in when we're talking fractional silver. Once again, a luxury that I personally wouldn't or couldn't afford if I was stacking on a budget. So those are just a few of the tips that I would incorporate and do if I was stacking on a budget. It would be fantastic if anybody else can put their thoughts in the comments on what else you would do if you're stacking on a budget, the budget being 6 coins, 6 silver coins, 6 or 10 silver coins a month. It'd be fantastic to hear, but that's exactly what I would do if I was stacking on a budget. I'd keep it 1 ounce silver, 3 nines plus, the better. I'd keep it definitely alternate, so 1 month silver, 1 month gold, and I'll take it from there. I've mentioned my best coin. It's a fantastic coin. It's going from strength to strength, and that's the Perth Mint Kangaroo. So hate or love it, guys. It'll be fantastic to know what you think. Go ahead and follow me on those other platforms if you haven't done so already. Go ahead, subscribe if you ain't done so already, and I'll catch you guys on the rebound.